Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday night question and answer live show with myself, Raven of RavenHawk Coins, SilverSeeker, RobFindsTreasure, and our very special guest, the one, the only, Uncle Sal from SalivateMetal. Yes, let's explore. Say what's up, guys.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Hello, everybody. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, Raven. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Seeker, start it off, my brother. What you got to say tonight?
Not much, man. Just glad to do it. I know we just did this 6 days ago because of our scheduling mishaps. We blamed that one on Rob. We're not going to blame Rob's weather. We're just going to blame Rob, like, directly, just straight up.
You know what? There's nothing that can be said tonight to make me sad or mad. I found silver for the first time in my quarter box of this year, and right now I'm on cloud 9.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you, Scott.
I think it was the beard grooming that delayed the show, to be honest. You know, it takes a long time to develop such a beautiful beard. Look at the tapering.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I did the tapering. I even dyed it the other day to get some of that gray. Not all of it. You can still see the gray in it. Sorry, it's reversed, but it's not as gray as it was a couple days ago.
Right on, guys. Let's do a quick hello in the chat room. We got Matt Poe, Jason4343, the Miss Wolfie, Coin Crew, Bill's Coins and Treasure, Ty Hitman, Peter Bowes, Hap Nation, Caribbean Coinsman, Josh Schultz, and Rob Finds Treasure. Alrighty. So as soon as we start we normally get questions in the chat. Basically, people ask us about different things going on with current events in silver and gold and coins and whatnot, and we go from there. So we're gonna have a fun time, I'm sure. What you got going on new, Sal? Any good things in the works?
Just pressing on with my goals for the year, as far as accumulating precious metals, and just kind of watching. It's pretty exciting to see what silver's been doing. I've been kind of looking around, poking around at the Wall Street silver Reddit forum, and I've never really gotten into any other social media, but I don't have an account there or anything like that, but I'm watching it. They're actually going to be doing some advertising on billboards and other things, and they've actually, some of them have even mentioned marking up bills and putting buy silver. I don't know if that's legal for, particularly, but I don't know. I've heard people do that with Where's George. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but I think it's a neat idea. And it's exciting to see, especially in the silver space, because it's been so I don't know. It's been very stagnant with the price movement for so long since I started my channel. The prices have been coming down, and only within the last year they've really started to rebound with the coronavirus and with all what's been going on there, except for maybe one little bit of time in 2016. But yeah,
right. I saw you put out a video earlier about gold taking a plunge and oil going up and stuff, and so it's interesting to see what's going to happen with that. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Did you guys see that, Rob and Seeker?
I mean, I saw the video pop up on my feed, but I was in the middle of a game of Counter-Strike, and then I had to come and do this. So,
right, cool, all right.
I apologize, but I'll probably catch it later. So I don't quite know what Sal said, but I mean, I have been watching spot. I mean, it was it hit 2,000. It hit over 2,000. 3 months ago. And now it's almost going to be under 1,700. We'll see if it hits. I know I just read an article on Kitco today about gold possibly dropping to 700 or 1,700, but they see a lot of support there. So I don't think anyone really expects it to really fall below 1,700. But I don't know. It could happen. You never know. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't see the video. So if Sal wants to talk about it more, otherwise we do have a question up on the screen.
I mean, it's interesting because typically we find that when oil goes up, typically precious metals will go up in not necessarily in tandem, but in due course, because oil is a commodity. We all kind of know why oil went up. There's a myriad of different reasons, but probably the Texas, what happened in Texas will play a part, and obviously OPEC and tightening up supply, but the dollar index plays a part, the bond yields, the treasuries, and I think that's playing a part. Of course, the Dow went up 600 points a day as well too. So you're going to find things like that. Nothing always is. There's indicators that move the precious metals. Typically, the biggest one is the dollar index, but not even that always will cause the precious metals to go up or down. It's kind of a mixed bag, but it's weird. And that's kind of what my point was. It's kind of strange because in this day and age, with what's going on, especially with the coming reset, the Great Reset, many people are talking about it. It's out in the open now. They're talking about the Davos World Economic Forum and the like. It's a matter of time before we see a reset of our currencies around the world. And it's probably going to be based on some sort of blockchain system, digital dollars. That's where it's all going. Which perhaps could mean the end of Bitcoin as we know it. Who knows? There's a lot of different things that are up in the air. People are scared. And so we don't know, which is why I think that holding precious metals is always a good thing no matter what. But as Seeker said, we could see it go down before it goes back up again. And I've heard the same thing, that right around the $1,700 level, and we'll see where it goes.
We will see where it goes for sure. And look at that. AU and AG says Sal rules.
Oh, thank you, my friend. I don't know about that, but
oh, come on. Sal's a good guy. Let's go.
Heck yeah. Majestic says, "Holy Kennedy, that beard is looking sick, brother."
Thank you.
All righty. Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what happens with silver. And I saw a question from Coin Crew a second ago, and I missed it. I don't know where it went. It went by kind of quick. I'm sorry, guys. I'm lagging.
It's all right. Call it while you're trying to find it. Call it Breeze that say explain precious metal safe storage in family and family trust. I'm not. I have no idea. I have no idea what you mean by that question, I guess.
I know one thing that I'll interpret that question as the meaning. This is what I talk about: storage of precious metals. I think it's crucially important to have your metals stored safely. If you not only at home, and keep very little at home, but I
keep almost none at home. Like
exactly.
Just enough to do what I have to do for my stream, and that is it. Like there's very little here.
Exactly. That's the thing. And I would spread that wealth around to family and friends that you trust, that no one can really tie to you. And so that, if somebody comes in and burglarizes your place, they're not going to find anything or not find much of value.
Right.
Yep.
Keep it safe. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. I heard that saying somewhere. I think it was Lord of the Rings.
Right.
That's true. No, that is something that's very important. It's good to have, your own hiding spots on top of that. Some traditional things are, of course, safety deposit boxes and whatnot, but very good subject there. And let's see, we got another question here from the Miss Wolfie. Are you guys leaning more towards gold with the silver premiums like they are as far as stacking?
For me, no. I'm definitely still heavy into silver. I mean, I've talked on my channel before about how I don't like the premiums right now, but at the same time, I mean, in my opinion, it's starting to show that true disconnect between the manipulation of, the COMEX and what JP Morgan has been doing to silver for decades and what it's actually worth physically. Now, unfortunately, I do think that eventually that will subside and we will see premiums return somewhat to normal, but I don't think they're going to go back to pre-COVID levels. I don't think you're going to be buying rounds for 50, 75 cents over spot anymore. At least not in any foreseeable time in the future. It's going to be a while. So.
Yeah, I was looking at just some information and, maybe I'm out of my league here when it comes to second guessing. I'm not somebody who has all of the inside information, but I look at what happened in 1968 when the silver prices started to rise. And then it took about 6 years to get some traction. And in 74, it blew up. And then, of course, then it fell back down until the Hunt brothers in 1980 tried to monopolize the precious metals physical silver market. And then it artificially inflated. So if I look at 1968 and look at 2020 or 2021 right now and think of that in terms of the markets kind of reacting similarly, I think over the next 5 or so years, we're probably going to see a steady climb in the price of silver. Again, we'll have some peaks and valleys as we trudge along, but I think the next 5 years, we're going to see silver rise to a higher price than it has been since probably 1980. And then after that, I have to see how it got there, whether it got there from the physical demand or whether it got there artificially through people, manipulating the markets or whatever, or even if it's the paper manipulation. But either way, I think the next 5 years for silver is exciting. And I'm a long-term stacker by nature. And even though I like gold, it's not affordable for me. So I like stacking silver, and I like stacking it in even at today's prices.
Yep. And I'd love to hear what Sal has to say on that. I just think, like with me, I like the idea of a steady climb, and I think silver does need to go up slowly, because if it jumps to 50 overnight, you're just going to watch it drop back just as quick, because there's going to be a ton of bag holders that want to dump. So if it does go that far, it needs to go slow. It doesn't need, nobody wants it to go fast, myself included. I don't know. Go ahead, Sal, because I know you have information to chime in on this one.
Well, I agree in part. I certainly agree with that. If silver spikes quickly, it's just going to come right back down just as quickly, and that is kind of what the motivation is to some degree with Wall Street silver and the movement there, the silver squeeze, is they want to try to crash the COMEX, which it can be very difficult. In fact, I don't think it's really going to happen like they think it will. To a point, but I come from a contrarian point of view. See, I don't believe in what I refer to as macro manipulation of precious metal prices. I've not seen any evidence that what it is there's two different types of manipulation that I've categorized. There's micro manipulation, and then there's macro manipulation. Micro manipulation is where you see the spoofing or precious metals manipulation within an organization, either up or down, in order to satisfy the interests of those involved in it, whether legally or illegally. And this is what we see with JP Morgan and the precious metals trading division. In fact, I covered it on my channel on how they've been caught doing this precious metals manipulation, and they're profiting on the way up with these spoof calls and on the way down. So it's a two-way street there. But what I have not seen evidence of, even when you look at the commitment of trade reports, which is very, very kind of vague, and that's on purpose, where they're only required to report so much about what's done. So all there's is talk about the shorting with the commitment of trade report and with the COMEX there. And so you have these 8 banks or whatever that are doing it. They're saying, well, they're just suppressing the price. But I don't know that you can make that correlation and say that they're necessarily doing that, because I don't know that would be legal. They'd have to find some way to, I don't know that they can do that within basically what it is between all these organizations for one goal, and that's to suppress the price. Now, it could be happening. I've just not seen. I know Ted Butler has talked about this, and others have mentioned it. But whenever confronted with any kind of evidence that shows it, other than anecdotal or what's happening, they've not really been able to provide concrete evidence. Mainly because I don't think that these banks are going to share it, so they have to interpret it. And but many people think that silver, especially, is been pushed down by these banks and organizations. But we get to the same place. In other words, no matter what's happening, whether there's manipulation, whether you agree or not that it's happening on the macro scale, we know what's happening with the dollar. This bill that I'm holding in my hand right now is by design losing value each year. And so silver and gold, well, they're going to maintain value over the course of a long period of time, especially silver. And so I agree with everybody in the panel here that I think that over the next 5 years, it's going to go up. And I'm bullish for silver overall in terms of its price movement. And so I think we all get to the same place, even if we have a little bit different view on manipulation and the like.
I do want to interject really quick, Sal, if I may. So let me define my thoughts on the manipulation really quickly. I agree. The physical silver market has been proven that it's not necessarily rock solid, but it's hard to manipulate in general. But today's youth, today's generation is, and I know I'm stereotyping a little bit, but I've got 2 kids that are adults now that are today's youth, if you will. And they want things right now, and they want rewards right now. And they also have the fear of missing out. And because of the FOMO, if you will, I think that we are looking at past historical silver trends. We have to now consider today's generation that will have the FOMO, if you will, as well as the jump on the bandwagon to make a quick buck. So there could be some quick traction on silver manipulation if those 25 and younger year olds decide to go ahead and for the first time in their lives say, hey, silver might be a thing. I better start buying it as I can. If that happens and we have tens of millions of under 25-year-olds that have some sock money laying around decide to go and invest in precious metals, we could see an artificial spike or manipulation, if you will, for the first time, maybe artificially, that we've never seen before. And that's just my thoughts on the side.
Coming from we the people, that's exactly right. It's a manipulation upwards. In fact, that's where the premiums come in. To my second point, exactly right. And that's why, in a sense, where I've been warning people since the silver squeeze started is to understand what you buy. Understand that those premiums, you may not get those premiums back when you go to sell them. Now, right now, in this day and age, if you buy a Silver Eagle, or at least as of last week, things are changing so quickly. You could buy a Silver Eagle for $12 over spot and sell it for about $4 or $5 over spot. So you're still getting above spot for it, but you're losing about the same amount of premium as you probably would have before, but maybe a little bit more of a loss. But and so you have to wait for the catch up for the spot prices in order to break even on that. But some people are doing it. They don't care about those premiums. They're buying it regardless to send the message to be part of the movement. And as long as they understand that, then more power to you. So you're exactly right, Rob. When you're buying, and if you're a millennial or younger, and you see what's going on and the excitement of it, as long as you understand those basic concepts and basically the history of what silver has been, the historic value, the intrinsic value of silver, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's other, factors that are happening too that affect it. Like, look at the growth in YouTube with coin channels and the amount of coin roll hunting and people that are, buying silver on a constant basis. And that's where Coin Crew, and thank you to Chris K and Jason43 and Coin Crew for the super chats. Coin Crew said, what's everyone's thoughts on the silver squeeze? And are you guys having trouble keeping silver, etc.? I've had to get a little more creative, with some of the stuff, as far as, getting silver and hustling for it. Seeing it go from, 15 times face up to 30 times is pretty crazy, in such a short time, when yet, the value hasn't jumped, I think, enough to quite justify that yet, but the demand is driving a lot of stuff, and with this still growing and all the, those other outside factors, I think silver's going to go up, but it's all speculation. It's hard to say that perfect spot, And I saw another question. J-Dog here says, do you think silver spot will ever break its all-time high record? I
mean, naturally, yes. Just based on inflation alone, silver will break its record. I remember if today $1's worth $1, tomorrow $1 worth 50 cents, silver doubles naturally without changing in price at all. So yeah, I mean, eventually, and especially through the inflation that I think we're going to be seeing here pretty quickly, that is it. I'm not an alarmist. I don't go on and shout out that silver is going to be $100 tomorrow. But if it ever had a super crazy spike like that, I think inflation would play a big part into it. And I think Sal actually touched on that just a minute ago as well.
Definitely.
I was waiting to see if anyone else wanted to say anything.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. Okay.
I'm guessing no.
No, okay. I mean, I agree. I think it will eventually get above that. I think it's going to take. I'm hoping that it takes some time. It'd be nice if it were to break the record 10 years from now. I'd be a lot happier than if it broke it in 2 weeks from now. And I know that sounds crazy because in 2 weeks from now, maybe I'd make a nice profit, but I'm a long-time stacker and I would rather it be more steady and consistent than just a quick spike.
Absolutely.
I agree completely. You're right. And look at this last 2 times that it broke those highs. If you look at a long-term chart, when it broke $50 in 80 and in the 2011, it was a very, very tiny little spike upwards for a very short amount of time, and it came right back down. And then you have to look at this. Yeah, very, very quick. So those all-time highs, when adjusted for inflation, you know, that you're talking in 1980, that's what, about 200 and some dollars, I believe, per ounce. So we have a ways to go. And but I agree, it's got to be, this is a game of patience. And I know when you think about it, I hate to use the word game because we are preserving a wealth. It's a savings account with silver and gold. And it's something that you have to be patient. It takes a long, sustained amount of buying, utilizing methods such as smart dollar cost averaging, and that's where you're going to preserve your wealth. And if you can find a quarter in a silver and a quarter roll hunting, then you're doing all the better. You're helping that dollar cost average big time when you find it that way. So that's why I think it's exciting to see the coin hunting channels take precedence and everything. But all that being said about silver, to answer the previous question, I am still focusing on gold, as I've been doing the last few years, even in the midst of this, just because of my own personal silver to gold ratio. I'm trying to narrow those down. But it's tough. It's not easy to do. Like you said, it's not easy to buy gold. So
yeah, definitely. All right, we got another one here for Seeker and Rob. What's more cost effective to stack, junk, silver, or bullion? Depends
on where you buy it. I mean, if you're looking for the cheapest you can get the spot, then just call around and do some math to figure out with 90%. But just remember when you're calculating 90%, although that at uncirculated and what you see in the books, it's 0.725 per dollar. You really want to use 0.715 when you're doing your math just to account for the wear. But I mean, outside of that, it's just, you know, it's going to be different depending on where you go. I think right now the premiums on 90% are a little bit lower than generic rounds, but I mean, they're not really that far off, honestly.
I mean, if you were going to, I like silver bullion, but I love junk silver. I mean, everyone knows that. That's what I love. And at the end of the day, it is cheaper to stack junk silver right now based on premiums. But you got to remember, using junk silver is a little bit different than the use of 3/9 fine silver out there when it comes to trading for goods. That being said, I like junk silver because even if I'm getting it at whatever I'm getting it at, there is the chance that I could find something in that junk silver that has numismatic value that far exceeds just the silver content alone. And so, like Seeker said, if you do your homework and you find out where you want to buy it, find it at a good price, and then you can always cross your fingers and hope that you find something like a key date or a better date that fetches way more than face value, and or you might find something in BU or a higher mint state, so you get more than that, just that silver content value, which is why I like stacking it. If I just bought generic bullion only, or if I just bought premium bullion, then I would have to hope that it's a low mintage, or I would have to hope that it retains its value down the road with that premium attached. So that's just how I look at it.
Nice.
Fair enough.
All right. We got a next one from AUAG Keeper. The premium over spot is proof. Well, he's actually just making a statement. The premium over spot is proof prices artificially held down, another indicator of inflation, which that makes sense to me. Let's see here.
What did Richard Sappington say? I saw a big question at scroll.
Okay, so he is basically asking if we'll ever go back to a metal-backed currency, you know, like we used to be on the gold standard. I highly doubt that. It's just too expensive. It would cause way too many problems. You know, what are you going to give somebody $5 in gold? Is this little, you know?
And that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem
silver,
is like. Well, I was just going to say the biggest problem with that is the percentage of people that own any precious metals in the U.S. is slim. So you're going to put 95% of the U.S. in poverty overnight. So I don't think that could happen. I mean, they'd have to really, really put a plan into place to make that happen, offer currency exchange and all sorts of stuff. I don't see it ever happening. Besides, the Fed really likes being able to put some zeros in the computer to create more money. They wouldn't be able to do that if it was backed by gold and silver. So,
and by the way, is there even enough today gold and silver available to even replace and back it? No. So, like Seeker said, you'd put a big chunk of the world in poverty. They wouldn't even have a way to get deliverables on that.
I'm going to take a little different approach to this, guys.
Okay.
There are some states that are that are allowing for exchange of gold and silver out there. Utah and Nevada, they have got what's called these RM notes called the gold backs.
Yep, I have one.
And some stores are actually accepting them for exchange. The Constitution does say that gold and silver should be used for exchange between states. If you look at that wording, I need to study a little bit more, but it's for transactions between states, but even within states, if they have these notes. There you go. Seeker's got one. Yep. And so that's using technology with a measurable amount of gold in it. By the way, I found out that you can actually extract that gold if you wanted to out of that note. There are ways to do that apparently, which I didn't realize. But yeah, so that is the gold backs is a move in that direction. They've been making they're called REM notes for years now, but they've become monetary devices in these states. And they also make silver ones of those as well. However, with that being said, with everything moving digital, how many people, when they get paid, they get their employer just deposits it right into their bank account. There's people use debit cards, credit cards. How many people use cash? I'm a cash guy. I love cash. I'm old school that way. But the vast majority of millennials and younger folks are using more and more of the debit cards, and of course with cryptocurrencies making the way and stores being able to use those for transactions, you're seeing less and less of that. With that being said, I did hear of it, which should give us some hope that potentially we could see something down the road, because we are still using copper as money in our coins. The vast majority of the coin roll hunts are copper, 75% and above copper. And so there are younger folks who still do like to use coins and bills. There is a measurable amount based off of a study that I've heard on the radio some time ago.
Nice. So guys, what's a good response to people who have been indoctrinated to think silver and gold are bricks and relics because the everyday person is all about crypto for now? What do you think, Seeker?
I think the reason the everyday person is all about crypto now is because they're seeing the massive gains. It goes back to what Rob said, where the current generation is all about instant gratification and fear of missing out. And when you see these insane rises, and don't get me wrong, I think anyone would be lying if they said that if they went back to 2010 they wouldn't buy into Bitcoin. I mean, come on. But
yeah,
I mean, when they see these insane increases, they tend to hop in because they're expecting to have immediate results. And it's, unfortunately, it's just not going to be the case with gold and silver. But I think at the end of the day, I think, I'm not against crypto. I actually own a little bit of Bitcoin myself, not a ton of it, but a little bit. And I'm not against it, but I think at the end of the day, the thing I don't like about crypto is look what happened in Texas. I mean, when they were having power outages and rolling blackouts and infrastructure collapses and no access to the internet, how the hell are you going to spend it? And
right.
That's what bothers me about it. It's fantastic for making money. But it's like a stock. I mean, at the end of the day, if we ever run into a situation where you can't access it, you just can't access it. Whereas, you have an ounce of silver in your hand, you have an ounce of silver in your hand.
Or you also have the stories of people that lost, their password to their Bitcoin wallet, and once they forget it and they can't get it, nobody gets it. It's gone forever. So that's scary.
Crazy. It's crazy.
That is scary.
Yeah. What do you think, Sal?
There's one word that would answer this question, and a lot of young people don't really care about this word: history. Silver and gold have a history, and that history is 5-6 millennia, and the beauty that's in the metals themselves and the different formats. I mean, good grief, you can get Snoopy on coins now. You can get, there's all different kinds of things. There's even a Joe Biden silver round out there now. I mean, there's everything that you can think of that's under the sun that can be minted with silver and gold coins. Their beauty and history. And that's the best argument I can think of. But I don't know if it's a cogent one for some of the generations that are out there. But
I think all the answers have been great. Rob, what about you, my friend?
No, I think Sal pretty much echoed what I'm thinking, and so did Seeker, and so did you. At the end of the day, it is history. I mean, if there's anyone that loves history as much as me, I'd like to meet them. And I know there's people that have passion for history. My point of this is I'm a silver stacker by nature. I'm a treasure hunter by nature. And which is why I prefer junk silver over anything else as far as silver bullion, because I want the history there. I want to hold a piece of history. And crypto's sexy right now. If you had got in at 20,000 at the end of 2017, you'd still be sitting fat. But at the end of the day, that it's a small blip in the history right now of money or currency, and I don't know how well it's going to hold long term. I know that gold and silver have held, like Sal said, for millennium.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's funny. I like, Rob is a fan of history. My favorite quote from our former president, Franklin Pierce, is "Don't believe everything you read on the internet." I love that quote that he made back then.
Love it.
Yeah.
What's up, Seeker?
I wanted to, I don't want to take over the show, but I did want to get back. CoinCrew did do a $20 super chat, and we never actually got around to his question about, he wanted to know what our thoughts are in a silver squeeze. Mm-hmm. And I know we're kind of touching on it and what we were talking about, but we didn't really hit it directly. And I figured for $20, we may as well hit the question.
Yeah, I put it up there earlier for a little bit too. And definitely, what are your thoughts, Seeker?
Oh, I'm wondering who's rolling their mouse clicker.
Not me.
Not me.
I was trying to find the comment.
I have talked a lot about the silver squeeze on my channel. In fact, Sal was actually referencing Wall Street Silver and the billboards. I actually released a video about it yesterday as well. When I released my video, their goal was 50,000. They have far surpassed that. Now their goal is even higher. But when I heard about it originally, it was on Zero Hedge, and they were just going at 15,000. But I know they're attempting to create a bigger awareness of it by doing the things like the billboards and other advertising. But I would actually love to hear Sal talk about it a little bit, because I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, and I've been covering it too on my channel as well too. I think it's a great movement. I've been looking through it. Like I said earlier, I've been navigating around this Reddit forum, the Wall Street Silver, which was spawned out of Wall Street Bets, where they've got a lot of suppression. A lot of posts and stuff were deleted there. They tried to take off there, but Wall Street or the Reddit, when I first made a video about it, they were under 30,000. Now they're almost at 37,000 silverbacks, they're called. And there's actually some terminology with relation to what's going on there. They have their own kind of lingo, but it's a fascinating movement. And I think it's, like you said, the advertising. And it's not just billboards, there's other ways too. And I think it's exciting to see. But one of the things that I caution folks is that people are very excited there, but there are also there's some misinformation there as well too. So just make sure you do your due diligence, and I think that's where YouTube comes in, because you can watch a SilverSeeker video or Rob's Treasures or Raven's,
or yours.
And we try to give a balance, to understand that silver is one of those things that you go for the long haul. It's something that this silver squeeze will eventually be over at some level or some point. So what's going to happen then? How many of you will stick around? That type of thing. What's your purpose? What's your goal? Is it just to send a message? Is it just to be a part of the movement? Or is it to preserve your wealth and to help be independent from the banking institutions? For every ounce of silver you hold, you really are being independent, and that independence, I think, is a statement that it can be sustained for quite a long time, especially if you've been stacking for a long time. And I think all of us here have been in one form or another. We've been stacking for quite a while.
Yeah. Well said. I don't even know where else to go with that.
Yep, that is awesome. We got one here by Ty Hitman, guys. Where's the best place to buy silver if you do not have any LCSs near you?
Well, I mean, there's a number of places you can get it. I mean, obviously, you have the big retailers like SD and JM, who, by the way, have both donated to that billboard GoFundMe, by the way, both JM and SD. Both dropped $5, and I heard other big companies have done it as well, but I know both of them dropped $5,000 each.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool. I was watching it. It was funny because when JMs came through, it came through like a minute before I got to the site and did a refresh, and it was there 1 minute ago. I'm like, oh, crap. But SDs was actually before I made my video yesterday. But no, there's plenty of good online places. You just need to shop around. I mean, don't, go if you're looking for a certain item, check SD, check JM, check even AppMex, even though they're usually higher, check them as well. I mean, they may have a deal and find your best spot. But if you're really newer to silver stacking, if you're not 100% sure what you're doing, just stick to the big guys that you don't have to worry about it too much. You don't have to worry about them sending you fake crap.
Exactly. I mean, I think every one of us would say the same thing. You have a lot of great bullion dealers out there. And, sometimes you got to be patient with what's going on, as far as shipping and whatnot. But for the most part, you cannot go wrong with, the major players like AppMex and JM Bullion and SD Bullion and whatnot. Experimental Learning says, what is your favorite denomination of coins to hunt? We're mostly coin roll hunters here. Me, nickels, honestly, are my favorite as far as, the most bang for your buck. And then, of course, $half are really, really fun. But nickels, because of the way that I think you find a lot in them, and then the $half because you can find so much as well. What about you, Seeker?
I like hunting original rolls of Mercury dimes, like bank rolled from the 40s.
That's how we met.
I know, that's where the joke came in. I was hoping you'd remember.
Yeah.
Raven and I, the first comment ever on one of my videos is I had actually on my channel opened a fresh brand new roll of 1941s, like bank wrapped in 41. And
wow,
they are gorgeous. I still have a bunch of them, but I mean, and my camera wasn't near as good back then, man. I record my coins in 4K now. I wish I was doing that back then instead of a little 720p crappy webcam. But anyway, that's how Raven and I met, so I wanted to throw that out there. But
that's
series,
cute. That's a cute story.
Oh, shut up.
I was always wondering how you guys met.
Yeah, I mean, we went out for ice cream and, listened to some music by the, as the sun went down and,
held hands and blinked into each other's eyes lovingly.
Romantic.
Yes,
and then Raven yells, "Nickel, man."
Yeah, I looked like this at the time.
Oh, nice. Hey.
See?
But
we're gonna get Seeker out in the wilderness.
but with me, seriously, it's $half and nickels. The $half and nickels for sure. Yep. So
Rob,
I mean, I hunt them all. My least favorite is quarters, obviously. My second least favorite is dimes, only because of the visibility on the date as you get older. But to me, nickels, halves, and even pennies, I will enjoy any one of those three boxes at any time.
Yes, sir.
I don't think Sal can answer that question. I don't think he can.
Yeah, I'm not much of a coin roll. I do look at my pocket change, but I've found some stuff in my pocket change, but I don't actually do the coin roll hunting thing. But it's exciting that you guys do it. I think it's awesome.
You know what I was thinking about learning, or not learning, but starting to do, if I could ever afford it, is there's people out there that buy monster boxes trying to find strike throughs and other minting errors on releases. And I was thinking that'd be kind of a fun. Now, the likelihood of finding one is probably slim to none, but it still would be fun to look through them to see if you could find some kind of minting error as well.
I found a bunch of 2012 Silver Eagles with strike throughs.
Yeah, that's my point. I was looking at that. That'd be kind of fun to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Aiden Gallego says, SilverSeeker, Rob, and myself, do COAs and cases really help the price of silver and silver commemoratives? Do we really need them?
If they have numismatic, like if they're highly collectible ones, like you want to keep your box and COA for big things like your V75s, especially the gold, but any of them. But for your common ones, I mean, not really. It just really depends on what it is. If you get it slabbed, the COA becomes much less important. But if it's raw, you really want to keep your box and COA. So
perfect answer, actually. Yeah. Perfect. All right. I'm trying to find, if you see any questions that I'm missing, guys, just let me know.
Will do. Sorry,
it's cool.
Sorry. Let's see. Here we go. Guys, is it possible to find a DDO/DDR variety in an uncirculated mint set? Yeah, I believe there's been a couple of known ones. In fact,
Yep.
Quite a few known ones, actually. Rob probably know the most about that.
Well, I actually witnessed at a coin show here in Texas where a guy was filtering through sets of coins, and in his hand, he recognized me, and in his hand, he goes, "Look what I just bought from a dealer table over there," and it was a 1960 D, large date over small date, D over D, right inside the set. So, I mean, yes, you can find some pretty valuable things in there, but just keep in mind, many of those have been cherry picked throughout the years and just moved around from table to table or owner to owner. So it is tough, it is getting tougher. But at the end of the day, yeah, you can.
There you go.
Nice. Perfect. All right, guys. From Copper Out Coins, what are your must-have commemoratives in your collection?
The 2021 Peace and Morgan.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that is the definite next one.
For me, it's all of them.
Are you a big commemorative collector?
Well, yeah, I've committed myself to collect all of the modern proof commemoratives since 1982. Actually, I have a video that shows them all that I did in 2015, but I'm trying to find an exit plan out of those. Technically, the 2021 Peace and Morgan dollars are not part of the quote commemoratives that the U.S. Mint does. There's 2 programs per year. That's a specially legislated program that's done that kind of muddies the water, so to speak. Just like the Mayflower coins were not a part of the official commemorative programs, but I've gotten those as too. It's become very muddy. But the history of the U.S. Mint commemorative coin program is a long drawn out weird one over the course, especially in the '96 Olympics. But that's a whole nother conversation. But anyways,
Sal, are you missing any commemoratives from modern day 82 and forward proofs?
No, I've got them all.
Okay, I was going to say I got them all too, and I didn't know if you're missing any. I was going to say, give me an email.
All right, yeah. I even have the various mint marks for the 84 $10 golds.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's cool that you have them too, Rob. Did you collect the gold and the silver?
No, I was going to say not the gold for me, brother, just the silver.
Cool.
All right. You got another one there, Raven? Sorry. There we go. What slabs do you prefer collecting, PCGS or NGC? I've answered this one before, but I like NGC for aesthetics, but PCGS, I recognize that they carry a little bit stronger of an actual natural value. But aesthetically, I just like NGC holders better. Do you guys not? I didn't know if you wanted to say something. There, go ahead.
Well, with me, I think NGC does have a nicer, presented case. But PCGS, like Seeker said, I mean, I think all of us are going to agree with what Seeker has to say about it. Other than that, I'm stuck on that one. There's not really much to add. Go ahead.
I will admit, I've recently started getting rid of my NGC stuff and only keeping exclusively PCGS, just because I have always been a PCGS guy, but there are certain toned Morgans or certain coins that when I look at the NGC slab, that I'm like, I kind of like that better. But I have OCD bad, and I hate having a mixed set of different ones. Now, if I only have one of a certain grade or a certain type, I'm not going to get rid of it because it's NGC slab. But my point is, if I have duplicates, the NGC is the one that goes. So on PCGS.
There you go.
There you go. All right, guys, we got a $5 shout out from Michael and Lord Zachary Burnett. Hey, Raven, Rob, Seeker. We hope everyone finds a pile of silver this week, and big shout out to the Coin Crew Nation. We love this community. Thank you, guys. That is awesome of you. You guys are way too generous. Thank you very, very much. Let's see here. Yankee Stacking. This is my take on gold and silver right now. Gold for price, silver for potential. That's a pretty solid statement.
And you know what? Those type of quick, bam in your face statements are the ones that are memorized for a lot of people. And honestly, I think it's well said.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, we had one from Coin Crew again. Thinks that the silver squeeze is going to be around for a while. what are your guys' continued thoughts on that?
Well, I think Sal touched on it already. It's going to be around for a while, but eventually it's going to dry up. But I mean, they're doing a pretty big push on it with billboards and everything, so I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So I think you're going to continue to see the physical disconnect, or the disconnect of physical prices versus COMEX prices for a while. I don't think that's going anywhere for a bit. How long? I don't know.
I tell you what, I'm rooting them on. I hope it lasts as long as possible. I think this is a great thing. And yeah. So
here's one. We have how are the big banks actually controlling the price of silver?
Let's let Sal touch this one because I bet you he's the most versed of all four of us.
Yeah.
Well, and again, this is my opinion.
That's fine.
I'm very much in the minority here on this as far as how big banks, I don't think they control the price of silver. I think within an organization such as JP Morgan, which is a big organization, mind you, that they are the largest custodian of the SLV, which is really part of what Wall Street Silver is against, which is why they're pushing for PSLV, which is Sprott's ETF, which is backed by the physical. But I think that what's happening within an organization such as JP Morgan, there are traders in there that have access to the markets and to the trades, and they will put all these calls and these options out and buys, these big buys, and they'll hold them and then they'll sell them, they'll spoof it. And that moves the price up or down, and then they can profit from that in both ways. I've just not seen how, with the Commitment of Traders report, which is where you're really going to find the most evidence for manipulation by these 7 or 8 banks that are involved. We don't know who has what or how that's we know JP Morgan is one of those. This is why this has become such a big ordeal, because they are the largest custodian. Everybody talks, when they think of manipulation, they think JP Morgan, but also there's these other banks as well. But the biggest manipulator, I think, and the biggest bank is the Federal Reserve, and they manipulate everything. They manipulate this little paper dollar that I'm holding in my never nicotine stained hands. And that dollar bill is by design devalued every year at 2% plus. In fact, and now they're okay with 2.5%. So with that happening, that's manipulating the dollar and everything else that's tied to it. And obviously that includes precious metals. So there's a kind of that loose connection there. And so but other than that, I've not seen any hard evidence that shows that, other than this, people talking about shorts. But I heard somebody talk about saying, well, how does shorting something mean that it's manipulating it? They feel that it's just like with the GME stock, right? You look at GME, which is GameStop, and you have these hedge fund managers. They see the value of the company. Okay, the value of the company is that it's a brick and mortar for games that you can download on Steam now, right? SilverSeeker, were you playing a game earlier today, right? You probably played it online, right? It's probably not a disc that you put in a...
Right, yeah, of course.
And so that's the future of gaming. It's not disc-based, it's download-based. And so a company like GameStop doesn't have much future. So people short it, thinking it's not going to increase in value. So, and what happens is these Wall Street bet folks from Reddit saying, well, we don't like that you can do that because of what you think about it. We're going to run it up. And they ran it up and it went back down. And now it's made another rise back up a little bit. And so the big banks, how they're doing this with silver, I don't know. There's a lot I don't know, but I don't know that their motivation is necessarily to suppress the price, but they may think that the price is not going to go up anytime soon because of supply and demand issues, or because of where the economy is going to go in the next year. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of demand for silver for things like solar panels, electronic vehicles, and we know that quantitative easing is going to continue as well. So there's I mean, it's just there's a lot of complexity in it that I don't think a lot of people really understand. I don't fully understand it, which is why I've not been able to really find it. I'm open-minded about it. And again, I do believe there is manipulation from within an organization, but I don't think there's a cabal or a a conspiracy to keep the price of silver down because it's a commodity as well as money.
And I think Sal touched on something that needs to be considered as well with the technological boom that we've had, even more so with when you factor in people's awareness of saving the planet, going green. There's a lot more common practices for usage and affordability for usage of electronics that might require the use of precious metals. And as that demand and usage for those goes up, then the supply and demand factors will come into play, which will then, of course, for all of us long-term stackers, drive the price of precious metals up.
That's right.
Yep. All right, so we got another one, a little bit different from Shane Kennedy. Says, Rob finds treasure seeker RavenHawk. Do you ever unslab any coins you send in that you don't agree with the grade or the way that they grade it? Yes. Go ahead with your stories on this, Rob.
I'll be honest. I've never cracked a slab from a coin I don't agree with yet. Although I have some candidates like my high mint state 71D DDO Kennedy clad $half that they called cleaned. No. I have that Indian headset that's brilliant that they say is questionable color. I mean, at the end of the day, I can name off probably 10 other ones that I don't agree with. I haven't decided to unslab them yet personally, only because I'm not in a hurry to get them reconsidered. That being said, I think it is a fair practice that if you don't agree with what they've slabbed it at, you got to remember, there's such inconsistencies with the graders and how they're trained and who's behind your coin that at the end of the day, because of that, they can't expect you to have, it's not going to come back the same way. If I were to submit this, there's a guy out there, I forgot his name, but he has a channel that he actually will submit a coin 10 times to different graders and it will get like 4 different grades. Isn't it? I mean, to the same company, company. That just exposes the fact that when they're inundated with submissions, that they'll put any, pardon the way I'm going to say it, pimple-faced kid in front of your coin and give you a grade.
And that goes to the old saying, buy the coin, not the holder, because there's been quite a few cases where people have cherry-picked a undergraded coin for what Rob said right there. There's also the joke of, what mood was the person in that graded your coins that day? Because there's a lot of money riding on the difference between MS69 and MS70. You're talking I did really great, and holy cow, I just hit a grand slam.
Even 64 and 66 if it's top pop. I submitted
true.
4 DDR BU quarters that, in my opinion, 2 of them should have got 66 or better. I mean, I've been grading coins a long time myself. They gave all 4 64, and 2 of them are night and day, twice as good as the 64. Like, they just sat there and said, oh, it's all the same submission, probably from the same roll. Let's call them all 64s. And that's BS. That's BS.
Yeah.
It's one big gamble. I actually have a video talking a little bit about that subject, and I'll be doing another one, but I have one that I did quite a while ago talking about modern coin grading especially, but in the end, it really is subjective. And I think, especially for modern coins, there ought to be a completely new system, and there should be no human interaction to determine the grade of a modern coin.
Yeah.
You can do it using LiDAR.
There you go. Seeker?
You answered basically everything I said, but yes, I have cracked and resubmitted many a times. Yes.
Right on.
I've even done it on this channel, on my channel.
All right, we got a question for the one and only Redneck Stacker. He says, SalivateMetals, what's your thoughts on crypto? Do you think Bitcoin will always affect the metal prices, or do you think they will even affect metal prices? And if so, how? I'm not reading that question properly, I think
I understand it. And good to see you, Redneck Stacker. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I do think that, as Rob had mentioned, there's a lot of younger folks that are finding the new shiny thing, and that shiny thing is crypto, especially Bitcoin. It's a quick buck, and they're seeing it move way up. I've seen many people on my channel saying, screw gold and silver, I'm going to Bitcoin. I made this much, on Bitcoin. Gold is a horrible investment Of course, that's where they misunderstand gold and silver. They're not investments. Gold and silver have never been investments for as far as stacking. It's only a wealth preservation device. And but I do think it has affected, at least not directly, but indirectly, the prices of precious metals, because I think if Bitcoin wasn't around, Wall Street silver would be even bigger, I think, and more people would be into precious metals, because what's happening is the one thing that is similar between Bitcoin and gold and silver is the fact that it's decentralized. Governments aren't involved in it. That's an attractive nature. That's part of what the appeal is, and obviously the fact that it's like a stock, like Seeker said, but it's essentially untraceable, at least for now. I think that's going to eventually end, but I do think it has affected indirectly the price of precious metals to a degree.
Okay.
Nice.
Got another one?
I'm looking for anything I might have missed.
I saw a quick question earlier. Someone asked what VAM means. That's Van Allen Malus. That's the guys who created the original Morgan and Peace Silver Dollar catalog. Not catalog's not the right word, but essentially the one that showed all the different varieties. It was a huge catalog of Morgan and Peace Dollar varieties.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to come up with the right name.
No, you get it right. It's a huge catalog of variety listings for those.
Right.
Or actually, it's a catalog of the dye varieties, if more importantly as well.
Yes.
They also started a band called Van Morgensen.
Singing My Silver-Eyed Girl.
If you're interested in seeing all the awesome VAMs, I highly recommend VAM World, by the way. Awesome website.
Yeah.
Nice. Right here, Steve Faro. What's your forecast of silver spot by year end? You seeing it here at 50? In my honest opinion, I would be shocked if it hit 50, but you really never know. It's all speculation. I tend to think that it's going to hover about highest 30.
I could see physical silver hitting 50, as in after premium, if the silver squeeze really happens. But on the COMEX and spot, no. Maybe 30, maybe. I don't know, Sal. What do you think?
Well, I'm close. I agree with you, Seeker. I think we could see physical hitting $50, at least for some things like Eagles. They're going to get very close right now. But I put out a video earlier this year with my prediction, and I'm going to stick with that. I think between 30 and 35. So I'm a little bit more bullish on silver, actually. But I don't take my predictions very seriously. I could be wrong because, like Raven said, it's speculative and anything could happen. But I am bullish on silver for the year.
Agreed. And if we all had crystal balls, we'd all be rich. But like you said,
I actually have a crystal ball, believe it or not. I'm going to show it in a video soon.
Does it work, though?
I don't think it's made of crystal. I think it's just glass. But
right.
And Sal is rich. No, I'm just kidding. Yankee stacking again. Our dollar is fiat currency and Bitcoin is a fiat token. Frankly, sucks as a currency and laughable store of value. Everybody's got their opinions on it. It blows my mind what Bitcoin goes for right now. And it's hard to say, much against it when you see it doing so well.
But it reminds me of a story that Yankee Stacking just put about the fiat token. I remember a long time ago, I was short literally 27 cents of buying something that I needed. I didn't have my wallet on me, and I had my ashtray in my car, and I had change in it. I found 2 pennies and a Chuck E. Cheese token. So I figured I'd go in there and try to pay with the Chuck. I'm like, listen, it's a quarter at Chuck E. Cheese. There's Chuck E. Cheese's everywhere. It's still worth a quarter. You can count this as a quarter because technically it cost me a quarter to buy it. It's worth a quarter. And at worst case is you can get a game at Chuck E. Cheese and it's still a quarter. And they refused to pay for it because it wasn't legal tender. And so Yankees, I don't know where I'm going with this except for the fact that Yankee Stacking's comment reminded me of, is tokens real money or not? Because that Chuck E. Cheese token wasn't.
I would say again, I don't want to be too contrarian here because I know I've kind of been somewhat of that during this live stream. But on the surface, I agree with Yankee. However, the fact that bullion dealers are starting to accept Bitcoin as medium of exchange to buy gold and silver, and where its store of value is in the energy to produce those 21 million of those Bitcoins. And they say there's not going to be any more of them, and a lot of energy. It takes a lot more energy to create a Satoshi now than it did to create a Bitcoin at the very beginning in 2009. I'm not a Bitcoin guy. I have very little of it. I've actually cashed some of it out for some gold last year. Should have waited until last week to do it, but hindsight's 2020 because I made that transaction in 2020. But I digress. And I think that's probably what some of the Bitcoin bulls would say, is that its value is in the energy it produced and in the blockchain where the ledger is stored. But for me, it's too speculative, and I'm more of a hard currency guy, hard asset, money, real money, or not real money, but the more stable, the best money there is, and that's gold and silver. Mm-hmm. So in the end, we all get to the same place. I think that's just why we're into precious metals, and some of us get it through buying it and finding it and using Bitcoin to get it. Others of it find it in coin roll hunting, like you gentlemen. It's fascinating the diversity of this of the community, and how we all get to the same place, even if we have different paths to get there. You know what I mean? And that is that we see and understand. And I think that's just it. There's a lot of division sometimes I see, and I'm sure Yankee sees it too. People says, well, if you would have only bought Bitcoin, you would be this much, and then you could buy gold or silver with it. We all have our own experiences. And I know I was on a live stream with Yankee recently, and we talked about this, his experience and what he went through during the .com boom and the like. And so it's interesting, people's experiences and how we get there. But so it's interesting.
I wanted to point to something Canadian Ryan said. It wasn't a question, but he said, and he made a valid point, and I don't know if his numbers are 100% accurate, but I know it's roughly along those lines. He said that 80% of all Bitcoin is owned by 1% of people, or 1% of owners. So if one of the big whales started selling, that's going to cause a huge wave. And in fact, it's been seen before. When one of the big accounts started moving some Bitcoin, you saw an immediate dip. And the original creator of Bitcoin, nobody knows who he is. I mean, people think they know who he is. Some people think it's a developer that died years ago. I think back in 14 or 15. But there's an account out there with 1 million Bitcoin in it, which today is worth over $5 billion. And it's never been touched ever since like 09 or 10 when he finally stopped putting Bitcoin into it. He got to exactly 1 million and stopped. And if even one Bitcoin moved, I mean, if one Satoshi moved out of that account and showed somebody that account was accessible or liquid, that would cause a huge ripple in it as well. So that is something to think about. If people start moving a lot of that Bitcoin around, the people that own a lot of it, that is going to cause that price to drop. I don't know how long. I don't know if it to crash it, but you'll definitely see a plummet pretty quick. All right.
ECP has a point here. He says paper currency, Bitcoin and such only carry value because we agree it has value. Precious metals have value because of substance. And again, back to what Sal said earlier, and that's history. If everything went to, poo hit the fan, so to speak, and we the dollar failed, yes, we would be relying on precious metals to do everything. So that's a great comment. And it comes down to, in the end, what are people willing to pay for it? You can tell me something's worth $50,000 all day, and if I don't want to buy it, good luck.
Good luck getting it out of you, but I mean, there are other people that are willing to buy it. But I mean, ECP's right though. Like, currency as well. That dollar bill that Sal's had in his hand all night. I mean, it's only worth $1 because people believe it's worth something. I mean, the second that people start losing, the second that people start losing faith in that dollar, you start to have trouble. And so, like Sal said at the beginning of the stream, gold and silver have been stores of wealth for millennia. So, we have history to go back on with that. We don't have history to go back on with Bitcoin. Who knows? Maybe in 100 years, but I think in 100 years, when quantum computing is common, I think the blockchain would be busted open anyway. It's not possible. It's not possible with current technology, of course, but when quantum computers become easily accessible, there's going to be issues.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys. Well, we usually only have about an hour format, give or take. So if you have some last things you want to say and wrap things up to the community, please do.
I think Raven's beard is awesome, but God, man, Rob, that beard, dude.
Isn't that the? I like the way that it handlebars over the ears, so when he puts on sunglasses, and it all looks just like one flowing. That thing is amazing.
You guys are crazy.
That's a killer beard. I was, oh man, look at Seeker. Check it out. Wow.
Come on, Seeker. Everyone's got one of those.
Hey, I have to use it to cover my skin beard.
Oh, that's great. I actually want to say thank you, Sal, SalivateMetal. It was a pleasure having you on here, hearing your perspective. Sometimes we try to make sure we have a mix of stackers, coin hunters, and you name it on here. And it was nice to have you on here first and foremost. And second of all, kind of the unsung hero. I was watching the chat. I do want to thank Yankee Stacking for giving his thoughts in the chat as well. I saw him answering questions and giving his thoughts, and it's nice seeing someone else doing that in the chat as well.
Actually, in fact, I would love to have Yankee on one of these sometime.
Yep, I put it in the chat just a minute ago because somebody said, "Hey, get up there." I said we'd definitely love to have him as a guest.
Heck yeah, he'd be a great guest. Yankie's an awesome guy. He's got a wonderful channel, fast growing. Does a lot of great stuff for the community. He does. And I want to thank you guys, Rob, Seeker, Raven. It was absolutely an honor to be here, and I very much appreciate the invite. This is fun, and you guys are all great. This is a wonderful community. It's very diverse. I love that there's preppers, coin roll hunters, stackers, even, like I said, there's some crypto people too. I mean, we all end at the same arrive at the end with the preservation of value, being independent from the financial institutions in some manner or form. We don't have to be crazy or wacko to be that, but there's something about being your own central bank. When you hold things of value, you are that. Yep. And that's gold and silver. So I appreciate you guys very much. This has been a great time and quite an honor to be here. Appreciate you very much.
Right on, Sal. Yeah, the feeling's definitely mutual. Quick thank you to Silver Craze Mama. She says you guys are awesome sauce. Yankee Stackin said excellent stream, gentlemen. And Michael and Lord Zachary Burnett, amazing conversation, Jets. Thanks for sharing the wisdom. The next show is going to be in 2 weeks on the one and only RobFindsTreasure. Look out, guys. But we look forward to it. Any last words, Mr. Seeker?
No, I mean, you guys already kind of said what I agree with. I mean, a fantastic community, and it's always a pleasure to be a part of this and being here and chatting with everyone. So thank you guys for showing up and asking questions. And I do know that we didn't get to every single question. We do our absolute best to do it all, but when the chat's moving, I know last week was really tough. And this week wasn't any easier. It's just, when so many questions are moving, and especially when you get onto a topic, you're talking about a topic for 10 minutes and the questions scroll off. So if we missed it, make sure you come back in 2 weeks on Rob's channel and ask it again. We will eventually get to them all. That's the plan. So
yeah, the hour goes by way too fast, to be honest, guys. It really does. All right, guys. Big thank you to Sal again. Very honored to have him as a guest. And everybody that was here tonight, Jason4343 with a $25 super chat says, great stream, guys. Enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Caribbean Coins, a new member as well. Rob, you got any last things before we
That's it, man. I want to let these guys go. Thanks, Sal. Thanks, Seeker. Thanks, Raven. Thanks, Yankee. And we'll see you guys in 2 semanas on my channel.
Thank you all.
See you guys.
Have a great day.